When this dishwasher outshines millionaire chefs, you won't believe the shocking reaction. In a world where culinary titans rule the kitchens with their pristine knives and towering soufflés, one humble dishwasher was about to turn those giants on their heads. Imagine a sleek, gleaming machine, shining like a beacon in the dim light of a five-star kitchen, ready to douse the flames of arrogance with nothing but its trickling water. People would gather around a crowd buzzing with disbelief as their favorite celebrity chef stared wide-eyed, jaws nearly hitting the floor. Could this innocuous appliance actually outshine those who crafted multi-course masterpieces? Its performance was extraordinary. It didn't just clean, it transformed. Plates emerged sparkling, as if kissed by the sun. Glasses gleamed with an almost otherworldly clarity. But the real kicker? This dishwasher had a secret. It hummed in a rhythm that synced eerily with the chef's frenzied chopping, whipping up a strange energy that electrified the atmosphere. Witnesses swore they felt the ground shake slightly beneath their feet, as if the very foundation of culinary expertise was beginning to tremble. And don't get me started on the strange noises it emitted, whirring sounds that morphed into low, ominous growls. It was as if the machine had a life of its own, telling tales of forgotten recipes and culinary battles of yore. Chefs whispered ancient superstitions, swapping wary glances, while the dishwasher continued its work, oblivious to the panic it stirred. Heads turned, and whispers grew louder. The tension hung thick in the air like steam rising off a boiling pot. It was clear something marvelous was happening, but with each passing moment, a nagging question loomed: what if this dishwasher was more than just an appliance? What if it held the key to culinary enlightenment or even disaster? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the dishwasher continued its dazzling work, the legendary chefs began to edge closer. Their eyes glinted with intrigue, principles threatened by this encroaching kitchen god. Some reached for their phones, recording every bizarre moment. Others exchanged nervous laughs, unsure if they should celebrate or run for cover. Then, in an unexpected twist, one chef barked out a challenge, demanding the machine prove its mettle in a showdown that would echo through culinary history. But just then, a loud clanging noise erupted from the dishwasher. The lights flickered ominously, and for a heartbeat, everyone held their breath. What had awakened within that machine? Would they witness the dawn of a new culinary revolution or an appliance-induced catastrophe? The air crackled with anticipation. What would happen next? The clanging crescendo roared through the kitchen, drowning out the hushed murmurs of disbelief. Everyone froze, eyes locked on the shimmering appliance as if expecting it to unleash a torrent of chaos. The lights flickered one last time before a deep, metallic voice echoed from the depths of the machine. Challenge accepted, it vibratingly declared. No one could believe their ears. This wasn't just a dishwasher, it was a contender in a world where chefs wielded knives like swords. The air grew heavy with uncertainty, mixed with a wild surge of excitement. Had they all stepped into some strange culinary realm where machines governed the kitchen? The chef who issued the challenge, a silver-haired culinary legend named Antonio, took a daring step forward. He was fearless, but even he appeared taken aback. How do we even compete with something that defies logic? He muttered, but the challenge was set in stone, the wheels of fate already turning. Every chef, every onlooker, leaned in closer, their trifecta of culinary pride, fear, and curiosity smashing into one another like clashing knives. The lights flickered back to brightness, illuminating the kitchen like a stage. Teams of sous chefs scrambled, gathering fresh ingredients. The energy crackled and surged, everyone sensed an electric pulse beneath their feet as if the very ground recognized the monumental moment unfolding. Let us see what you can do. Antonio shouted, a fire igniting in his spirit. He signaled to the machine, fueled by an adrenaline that matched the thrumming of the newly awakened dishwasher. "First round, plating perfection," he declared. A storm brewed in the kitchen as chefs busily sliced, diced, and whipped. Ingredients flew through the air, the urgency palpable, anticipation mixed with dread as they watched the dishwasher prepare for its response. Was it truly alive? Dominated by a spirit that sought to impress, as Antonio completed a stunning plate of seared scallops adorned with vibrant beet puree and microgreens, he presented his artwork to the machine. The sous chefs cheered, approval palpable. But before anyone could catch their breath, the dishwasher sprung into action. With a whir of its gears, it revealed an array of ingredients none of them had seen before, a riot of colors and textures, shimmering in mystical displays. A light emanated from it, illuminating the once somber kitchen, transforming it into an ethereal battleground. The crowd gasped, they were witnessing a spectacle unlike anything experienced in culinary history. Suddenly, the machine spat out a dish, a radiant, smoky blue risotto with bizarre ingredients that seemed to dance on the plate. It was beautiful and terrifying, an alien creation that could either elevate or destroy, depending on the outcome. Gasps erupted from onlookers. This was not just cleaning, this was redefinition. As if sensing the crowd's astonishment, the machine hummed lower, as though challenging the chefs and daring them to respond. Antonio's jaw dropped, gripped by awe and bitterness. How could this be? He whispered. What were they battling against? A machine or an unnerving glimpse into a future where human chefs could be rendered obsolete? Tension electrified the air, spiraling upwards until it threatened to explode. The competition had kicked off, and with it echoed a chilling question every chef hoped to avoid: what secrets did this dishwasher really hold? As knives clinked against cutting boards and flames flickered in the kitchen, only one thought blazed in everyone's mind: the machine was just getting started, and who knew the surprises it still had in store? The excitement in the air felt thick enough to slice through. Without warning, the dishwasher spoke again, its voice resonating with a commanding authority. Second round, flavor fusion. The word sent a shiver down everyone's spine. This wasn't merely a cooking contest anymore, it morphed into a battle of creativity and instinct, a test of culinary genius against a mechanical behemoth presumed beyond the reach of human innovation. Antonio instantly rallied his sous chefs, excitement flooding his body. This is our chance. Let us give it everything we've got. He waved his hands, directing them like a conductor leading an orchestra. They divided, one group searching for wild herbs while others hunted for spices. The clock was ticking, and innovation was a fierce beast they needed to tame. The kitchen was now a hive of chaotic energy. Sizzles and pops filled the air as skillets heated up. With every stir and whisk, the chefs infused passion into their dishes like warriors sharpening their swords. Antonio opted for a daring mixed truffle oil teamed with smoked paprika and fresh citrus. His mind raced, pouring everything he had into the plate. He had to outdo the mechanical rival that seemed to scoff at his efforts. As he plated his creation, a vibrant tapestry of colors hugged each element together: beautifully seared duck breast drizzled with a zesty orange gastrique, nestled alongside creamy garlic-infused polenta and a sprinkle of microgreens. It looked ready to impress, but he could hear that mechanical voice humming low, a constant reminder of the fierce competition. Suddenly, a surge of light swept across the kitchen. The dishwasher sprang to life again, revealing a brilliant orb of dazzling ingredients: glittering saffron, rare mushrooms, and a deep maroon sauce that seemed to shimmer as if calling them towards the abyss. The observers stood transfixed. Were they witnessing the birth of a new culinary era, or were they watching the machines plot their takeover? Do we even stand a chance? A young sous chef murmured, uncertainty creeping in. Others exchanged worried glances as they contemplated their place in this new world. What if the machine came out on top? Would they be relegated to the sidelines, mere onlookers in a once vibrant sphere of achievement and culinary pride? The dishwasher spewed out its dish with a flash, revealing an exotic black garlic foam drizzled over a perfectly roasted leg of lamb. It glimmered under the lights, a tantalizing triumph that seemed to mock every chef in the room. Gasps mingled with whispers of disbelief as onlookers questioned the very nature of their skills against a digital wonder. "I don't get it," a line cook shouted, frustration bubbling to the surface. "What's the point of all this if a machine can do it better?" There it was, the heart-wrenching dilemma pulsing in everyone's minds. Were they here to prove themselves or to compete against an entity that had no soul? Antonio clenched his fists, feeling the frustration morph into determination. "It's not about the machine," he yelled, rousing the others. "It's about our spirit, our love of food. That's what they can't replicate." As his words echoed through the dim, buzzing kitchen, the tension morphed into something tangible. It ignited minds. The chefs rallied together with resolve, their collective energy surging back into their craft. They began mixing and improvising with relentless vigor, each concoction growing bolder and more unpredictable, but in that simmering sea of creativity lay a truth more sinister than any of them imagined. Just as the machine prepared for another round, a low whir echoed ominously. Its lights dimmed, casting unsettling shadows across the workstations. Every chef halted, fears bubbling back to the surface. What lay ahead was no longer just a culinary showdown but an unveiling of something hidden, something dreadful lurking beneath gleaming metal, and unknown that could alter everything they knew. As the dishwasher began to hiss and pulse, uncertainty roared back with biting ferocity. What secrets did this machine truly harbor, and what were they prepared to unleash upon the world? The kitchen buzzed with tension as the looming shadow of the dishwasher threatened to overshadow everyone. The lights flickered ominously, casting a glow that turned the once vibrant hues of fresh ingredients into haunting shades of gray. Chefs exchanged looks of dread, their confidence waning like the dimmed lights around them. Antonio's heart raced. He recognized that they were teetering on the brink of despair. Without the spark of creativity to guide them, all this would be for nothing. "Stay focused," he shouted, forcing his voice to break through the dread. He started chopping frantically, his knife flashing like a weapon, hoping to instill that same urgency in his team. The sous chefs rallied, moving with a frenetic rhythm, pounding spices and tearing herbs. Each pound of garlic echoed like a war drum, a declaration that they wouldn't succumb to fear. But the mechanical adversary pulsed soothingly, its digital eyes glinting like a predator lurking just out of sight. Moments felt like hours. The dishwasher began its suspenseful countdown, a digital clock glaring at them like a stopwatch that measured not just time, but their very worth. 3-2. The numbers ticked down maliciously. Every heartbeat harmonized with the beeping, a chorus of anguish. "Come on, we can't let it win." A bold voice broke through, one of Antonio's most daring sous chefs, Clara. She hurled a handful of saffron into her mix, sending a rainbow of spices into the air. "Let us show it our souls." Those words snapped them back to life. They improvised, combining flavors that were never meant to exist together, as if they were chasing the line between genius and insanity. Antonio carved open a pomegranate, its juices spilling out as vibrant as the battle before them. "We're not just making food. We're making art." The washer whirred back to life, and a new round of ingredients shot forth a glimmering flood of abstract Legos that seemed to be taunting them all. Glazed with metallic sheen, they gleamed as if meant for a display, not a plate. "What the hell is that?" a younger chef whispered, eyes wide. "An abomination," muttered a line cook, her voice trembling. "It's not even food." Then, a softer sound slipped through the harsh wail of the machine, one startling word: merge. It hung in the air like a deadly fog. The chefs collectively gasped, everyone froze momentarily as if the very walls were listening, holding their breath along with them. What did it mean for a machine to merge? Merge ingredients? Merge ideas? Or something more sinister, merge with them? Antonio felt the blood drain from his face. "We need to finish this round," he barked, snapping everyone back into action. They dove into their dishes, eyes alight with determination, yet shadowed by fear. With each plating, they turned their backs on the machine, an act of defiance. They focused on the fusion of their creations, pushing boundaries they had never touched before. Hot oils sizzled, and the aroma of merging flavors created a siren-esque song that drew them closer. As the final moments approached, the dishwasher whirred ominously again. A haunting voice sliced through the tension. Final dish submission in 1 minute. Antonio's heart pounded in time with the ticking clock. What would they create in this frenzied state? He threw himself into a revised concept, an unconventional blend, audacious yet bound. Meanwhile, the chilling murmurs from the machine vibrated across the space. Did you feel that? Clara shot a glance toward the dishwasher, her voice quaking. Antonio nodded. The air shifted, charged and electric. Whatever it is, we won't let it control us. We're fighting back. The machine began to whirl deceptively fast, the lights pulsating as if feeding off their energy. Something was coming, something unexpected, but it was what lay behind that curtain of digital noise that sent shivers down everyone's spines. What the machine had been brewing was more than just food. The revelation loomed, heavy in the kitchen, urging Antonio to step back and rethink everything. This was about to escalate in a way they could never anticipate. Ready or not, here it comes. The dish was about to uncover a truth they never saw coming. The room exploded with chaos as the machine let out a high-pitched wail, louder than any alarm bell. Antonio's hands trembled as he gripped his knife tighter, preparing for whatever monstrosity the dishwasher would unleash. 10 seconds. The ominous voice chimed, echoing off the walls like a harbinger of doom. Time slipped away, slipping through their fingers like water. Focus! Antonio shouted, masking the fear clawing its way up his throat. He dropped his knife, barely recognizing the ground beneath him. Clara and the others moved with desperation, urgency fueling their movements, their creations evolving into something raw and instinctual. The machine bellowed like a beast long awakened. Prepare for merge. All around them, the kitchen transformed. The air thickened, charged with an electric buzz that pressed against their skin. The lights flickered, casting shadows that danced like phantoms, growing larger as fear gripped the hearts of the chefs. Hold together. One of the line cooks yelled, her voice breaking as she tossed her creation onto a plate just as the machine's counter hit 0. A final, jarring beep signaled the end. The dishwasher whirred and clanked, then stopped, its doors opening slowly, releasing a cloud of steam. What now? Clara muttered, her wide eyes reflecting the chaos. From inside the machine, something flickered, a flash of color amid the mist. With a swift burst, the contents catapulted into the air, raining down shimmering constructs impossible to decipher. They landed with soft thuds, smattering the countertops, each glimmering piece a testament to some twisted vision only the machine understood. Is that food? Another sous chef asked hesitantly, stepping forward. Food redefined, Antonio whispered, heart racing. He picked one of the metallic pieces up carefully. It shimmered like steel but felt oddly familiar, almost alive. In that moment, understanding dawned. What lay before them was not mere food but a complex puzzle, begging them to unlock its potential. As awareness seeped in, so did horror. It's not just combining flavors, Antonio breathed, realization chilling him. It's merging our very essence into whatever this is. Cries of disbelief echoed around him. But how do we serve it? Another chef asked, struggling between fascination and dread. The machine's voice broke in, calm yet eerie. Prepare for your next challenge, taste the merge. What does that even mean? Clara shouted back, panic slicing through her voice. Antonio's gut twisted, a wave of nausea rising within him. They had been fighting against the machine's power, its hold on them. But now they had to embrace its twisted intention. He could see the fear in his team's eyes, but also a flicker of hope. Maybe our only choice is to do it. We need to discover what it means to fully merge our creations, he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. We blend our ideas, emotions, our very identities into these dishes. The tension thickened. A sous chef stepped forward, visibly shaken yet resolute. If we have to taste what this machine has made, we need to stand together. No one goes in alone. Grim nods followed. They would take this plunge as a team, and as each chef prepared to take that leap into the unknown, the dishwasher remained ominously silent, its digital eyes flickering a silent observer of their fate. Just as Clara reached for a piece, the machine erupted once more. "Merge begin," it declared. The ground beneath them shook, vibrant energy radiating from the center of the kitchen. Everything they had known seemed to shift, and the reality of the moment struck them. How far were they willing to go? What truths would they uncover in this tangle of flavors and identities? Could this machine actually hold secrets that would redefine their lives? As the first bite approached, Antonio felt a chill creep down his spine. What awaited them on the other side of that taste? The air crackled with a tension that felt like static before a storm. Antonio held his breath as he watched Clara lean forward, trembling fingers reaching for the shimmering dish. The moment stretched, a taut line ready to snap. "What if it changes us?" one of the line cooks whispered, eyes darting anxiously as they hovered around Clara. Fragile hope intermingled with dread, gnawing on the edges of their courage. Clara paused, the piece inches from her lips, as if the weight of their collective fears hung in the balance. She glanced back at Antonio, her expression wavering between fear and determination. "We have to find out. We won't know until we try," she urged, voice barely above a whisper. "Together," someone affirmed, but it felt like a promise on the verge of breaking. Heart pounding, Antonio stepped closer. "Just remember, we're not alone in this." As he spoke, the dishwasher flickered ominously again, a low hum building in intensity. In that moment, Clara closed her eyes and took a deep breath. With surprisingly deliberate grace, she brought the metallic piece to her lips. The kitchen stilled, the ominous atmosphere thickened, and the world around them narrowed to her single action. As she bit down, it was as if a switch flipped. A kaleidoscopic explosion erupted in her mouth. Flavors, sensations, and emotions flared blindingly bright. Clara's eyes widened, sparkling with realization, and then slowly dimmed, the brilliance replaced with confusion. "Are you okay?" Antonio shouted, his stomach twisting at the sight of her transformation, but the machine didn't wait. "Let the merge flow," it intoned, sending a shockwave echoing through the room. Antonio staggered as the energy surged, wrapping around his limbs like a vice. The other chefs, uncertain yet compelled, began to sample what lay before them. One by one, they crossed that threshold, tasting the strange, alive creations. What followed was a cacophony of gasps, moans, and shrill cries. Flashes of memories, feelings, and identities merged and twisted in the air. Faces blended into mirages, their voices creating a symphony of confusion and enlightenment. "No! This can't be!" screamed a sous chef, clutching his head, wrestling against voices that weren't his own, flavors linking him with elements of himself he had long buried. Antonio closed his eyes, feeling the electric pulse radiate through the room, pulling on his very essence. "This is insane!" he shouted, panic tightening his chest, and then, with a surge of adrenaline, he took a piece for himself. The moment it hit his tongue, something cracked open inside him. The rush of flavors cascaded into his thoughts. Memories of his childhood kitchen flooded back, mingling with the essence of the others in the room. He saw Clara, not as she was now, but as a younger version of herself, bright and uninhibited. It was overwhelming, heart-wrenching. "Stop!" he managed to scream, but in that moment, he became part of the collective, unable to disentangle his own identity. Panic set in as he realized they could lose themselves. "We need to end this." The words barely escaped his lips when the machine roared again. Final stage initiating. The collective screams turned into a haunting echo. The walls warped, colors blurring, reality seeming to fold in on itself. Was this the machine's endgame, a complete obliteration of who they were? Or a rebirth into something more exquisite? Suddenly, silence fell, weighty and profound. The kitchen remained suspended in a moment, bound by fear and uncertainty. As the blinking lights of the machine pulsed, Antonio blinked back reality, shaking his head to clear the vertigo. "What have we done?" he gasped. A cold, searing laughter filled the air, echoing off the tiles like a twisted melody. The machine, now seeming more alive than ever, whispered, you've only just begun to taste the true merge. What new horrors and revelations awaited them now? The silence in the kitchen morphed into an eerie hum, vibrating with a life of its own. The machine's lights pulsed, casting strange shadows on the faces of the chefs, now drifting between shock and exhilaration. Antonio's heart raced, each beat echoing like a drumroll to the unfolding chaos. Clara's eyes, once sparkling with life, now glazed over like a doll's as her body swayed gently, caught in the rhythm of the machine. "Clara!" he shouted, desperation clawing at his throat. He reached for her, but an invisible force pushed him back, forcing him to maintain distance. A sickening gust of energy swirled around them, stirring up memories combined with nightmarish scenarios. "What is happening?" It was the sous chef, his voice trembling, fear etched deep into the lines of his face. "What are we becoming?" The question hung in the air, heavy as a leaden weight. Antonio fought against the pull of the machine, desperate to hammer against the wave of confusion and despair. "We have to resist," he yelled, but it felt like trying to shout through a thick fog. The other cooks, though standing beside him, seemed to flicker in and out of reality, their identities blurring as the merge began to wrap around them. One by one, they gasped as memories and feelings surged forth, a tidal wave clouding their judgment. "I see," Clara whispered, her voice soft yet distant. "So many flavors. Is that my mother?" Tears glistened in her eyes, shimmering like the lights surrounding them. Another chef spoke next. "I can taste betrayal." His voice was tight, betrayal mingling with nostalgia, and Antonio felt his stomach drop. Each fragment they tasted rippled through the kitchen, connecting them on a level beyond comprehension. Was this what the machine intended? To weave their stories into one chaotic tapestry, to dissolve their essence into something entirely foreign? Suddenly, the machine's voice boomed again, slicing through the atmosphere like a knife. "Merge completed." No sooner did it say this than the kitchen began twisting and pulsing, walls buckling into an almost liquid state. Antonio stumbled, grasping at an unseen anchor as he fought to remain intact. The energy felt like a storm flooding his mind, swirling thoughts and emotions rushing at him like shards of glass. "Find your center," he screamed to anyone who could hear, his voice barely a whisper against the storm. "We need to remember who we are." But the laughter returned, twisted and taunting, echoing off the walls. Too late for that, it dripped in sinister tones, caressing their ears. "You are all mine now. The flavors of your past will become one with me." The very kitchen began to pulse with a heartbeat, alive and hungry. Antonio felt visions flashing through him, dinners long forgotten, mistakes buried deep in years of culinary brilliance, success tinged with desire and failure, and just as he thought he might drown in the weight of it all, a glimmer of clarity burst forth in Clara's eyes. "Antonio! We can fight this. Remember the reason we cook," she shouted, determination igniting a spark within those who had already begun losing themselves, but before the fire could spread, the room twisted violently, throwing them each into separate corners of their shared nightmare, unraveling their unity. "No!" Antonio reached out, searching for Clara's hand. "We can't be divided." Unseen forces ripped them apart as the room erupted in flashes of color and sound, laughter morphing into screams. A flicker of hope urged Antonio forward. He had to find Clara, had to unite them all before it was too late. As he staggered through the kaleidoscope of chaos, a looming figure emerged from the shadows of the machine, its silhouette dark yet familiar. It was a chef he recognized, but somehow altered. "You don't hold the key to this kitchen anymore," it breathed, and Antonio felt the ground beneath him shift, the world spun, and he took a trembling step closer to the figure. A cold dread settled in his gut. What had they truly unleashed? The kitchen swirled around him, falling apart and reassembling into shapes that taunted him with unasked questions, blending and merging into a torrent of disbelief and uncertainty that he pushed back against the confusion and took another step forward, the image sharpening with each heartbeat. "What are you?" he demanded. But as the response echoed ominously back, the chilling laugh reverberated through the kitchen, closing in like a vice. The question hung in the air, hanging like a ghost, who would they become next? Antonio felt the fabric of his reality straining at the seams. The looming figure continued to shift, morphing into grotesque versions of the chefs they had once been. Each flicker revealed a disfigured smile, as if mocking the ambition that brought them to this moment. "You've played with flavors far beyond your comprehension," it taunted, voice dripping with a condescending sweetness. Laughter echoed, a twisted chorus of familiar voices that dug deeper into his mind, each laugh splintering Antonio's resolve. His chest tightened, and he clamped his eyes shut, focusing on Clara's voice from before. She had been their anchor. "Remember the reason we cook." The urgency of her words ignited something in him. With a determination that felt like a fire igniting, he lifted his head. "No. We are more than what this machine wants us to be." He pushed against the swirling energies, trying to forge a path through the chaos. Suddenly, the lights burst with a brightness that seared his eyes. Shimmering shadows sprung forth, coiling around him, whispering promises of greatness and despair. Visions assaulted him. He saw himself at Michelin-starred restaurants, winning accolades, but the triumph quickly twisted into horror as the specter of failure loomed over him like a storm cloud. "Antonio," a voice murmured, clear as day amidst the chaos. It was Clara. "You have to fight. Use what you know." Her voice seemed to cut through the haze, and he gasped, clinging to it like a lifeline. The memories swirled, reaching out his first dish, the pride in his mother's eyes, the friendships forged over shared plates. Each memory twisted and merged, forming a connection deeper than the machine could understand. Steeling himself, he shouted, "We are the flavors of our past, the love of our families, the pain of our failures. Those are our ingredients." It felt as if the kitchen itself hesitated, vibrations echoing around him, recognizing the truth in his words. The laughter turned sharp, resenting the unity he had ignited. "You think you can resist? This is just the beginning." The sound of its voice morphed, transforming into a wail that churned the air. Cold and full of dread, Antonio summoned every ounce of strength. "We can't let ourselves be consumed." He surged forward, feeling the energy shift as bits of clarity broke through. The disfigured faces of his fellow chefs flickered for brief moments, revealing themselves behind the haze. Fear replaced laughter, and he saw understanding. Perhaps they had all been confused and lost in the same web. "Clara!" He cried again, hoping she could hear him through the chaos, praying she was still fighting somewhere in this distorted reality. "We're not alone. Find your strength." The kitchen's heartbeat pulsed wildly, matching his frantic cries, battling against the machine's evil grip. Suddenly, a flash sparked in the darkness, illuminating a trapped figure. Clara. She stood resolutely in the eye of the storm, eyes blazing with defiance. "Together!" she shouted, her clear voice cutting through the dark. Her hand reached out, fingers stretching towards him like a bridge crossing a chasm. Antonio raced toward her, buoyed by a newfound hope that grew stronger than the terrifying shadows. The moment their fingers brushed, electricity shot through their bodies like lightning. Memories entwined, flooding their minds, igniting a fusion of flavors, identities. But the laughter roared again, more furious this time. "You think this bond will save you?" it shrieked, furious energy surging as darkness rushed to envelop them. With a quickening heartbeat, Antonio knew they had to merge their memories into the essence of the kitchen. "We are not just chefs, we are the stories behind every dish. We are love, pain, and triumph." He felt their unity radiate as they plunged deeper into the chaos, screaming in unison, "We want to be consumed." The walls of the kitchen shook as if reacting to their resolve, but would it be enough? A crack formed, allowing the light to seep through, blinding him momentarily. As everything around them twisted, a new shape began to emerge. Was it a door, a portal? But just as they reached for it, a low rumble echoed from the machine, threatening to pull them back into the abyss. Who will make the next sacrifice? It boomed, the darkness swirling around them with an insatiable hunger. Antonio's mind raced. Would they uncover a path to freedom or fall prey to the chaos they had awakened? Would they be able to dim the machine's shadows before their essence faded away completely? The air crackled with uncertainty. In that moment of thrumming tension, the looming question loomed larger than life: who must pay the price to escape this nightmarish kitchen? The ground trembled beneath Antonio, pulsating with the ominous essence of the machine's threat. He glanced at Clara, her fierce gaze a beacon in the dark, and felt a surge of determination. "We can't give in," he yelled, voice vibrating through the chaos. Bright light glimmered from the crack, a glimpse of what lay beyond. Hope bubbled in his chest, but the darkness swirled angrily, rejecting their light. It screeched, transforming the kitchen into a bizarre, nightmarish landscape, where utensils danced like spirits and ingredients morphed into monstrous shapes. Shadows lunged toward them, hungry tendrils trying to snatch their souls. Antonio could feel the cold grasp of failure creeping closer, tightening around his throat like a noose. "Clara!" he shouted, fighting the urge to retreat. "Focus. Remember our dishes, Antonio. Every flavor tells a story." She moved closer, the shadows retreating for just a heartbeat, caught off guard by their unity. The memories flooded back vividly. The sizzling of fresh garlic, the comforting aroma of simmering sauces, the joy of plating a perfect dish. He held on to those moments, and it fueled his resolve. "You'll never take us," he declared, reaching for that shimmering light once more. Yet the machine bellowed, its voice a cacophony of chaos. "You dare defy me? You think you can outcook the very essence of ambition?" It pounced, unleashing a storm of glamorous images, famous chefs, their faces twisted in greed and envy, shadows of ambition overtaking their humanity. Antonio gritted his teeth, feeling the weight of those judgments. "No. We are more than just brilliant chefs," he shouted, rising above the din. "We thrive on collaboration, passion, and love." The air crackled as their words amalgamated into a shimmering shield that pushed back against the shadows. But it was only for a moment. The machine's screams of fury echoed, a deafening roar that threatened to drown them. "You will pay. One will sacrifice, or all will perish." In that pause, it felt like time stretched, everything hanging by a thread. A cold sweat coated Antonio's brow. He exchanged a worried glance with Clara, both of them knowing that this choice could define them. "Not like this," Clara said, her voice firm though trembling. "We can't let it decide our fate. We choose for ourselves." She glanced at their fellow chefs, caught in the swirling chaos, eyes wide with fear. "Together, we can break free." "Then let us show it what we're made of," Antonio replied, ready to embrace the challenge. He reached into the swirling darkness and pulled out a flicker of hope, infusing it with all the love and connection he had for every person in that kitchen. He poured in the essence of all their stories, the laughter, the struggle, the moments of defeat that preceded triumph. As the kitchen filled with vibrant colors and aromas, their collective experiences merged into a golden tide. The shadows writhed, racked with confusion and rage as they shrank back from the awe-inspiring light. But the machine's sinister laughter echoed one more time. "Fools! You've awakened something ancient. It is not just your stories that are at play, you are part of a greater dish, one whose flavors entwine with survival itself." Then, without warning, the ground cracked wide open beneath them, an abyss of pitch blackness threatening to swallow them whole. The shadows clawed at their legs, desperate for anything to feast upon. In that split second of sheer terror, Clara shouted, "Grab hold of each other. We have to fight as one." Antonio reached for her hand, his heart racing like a drumbeat. It was a choice, a stand against the dark that threatened to consume their spirit. Would they fall into the abyss or weave together an unstoppable force? Everything hinged on this moment. But the looming shadows would not wait. Just as they secured their grip, a vision burst forth from the depths, a glimpse of success and horror intertwining. And within that cacophony of sights played out one terrifying question: would they emerge as victorious chefs or victims of their own making? As Antonio and Clara held tightly to each other's hands, the ground trembled beneath their feet, shaking with the intensity of the machine's rage. The world around them warped like a fever dream, shadows reaching hungrily while flickers of light surged with hope. They could feel the weight of every chef in the room, their identities hanging in the balance. "Remember who we are," Antonio shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Our love for cooking binds us. It's not just about the perfect dish, it's about every flavor, every memory." Clara's grip tightened. "Together, we stand for each other." With those words, the energy among the chefs began to shift. One by one, they joined hands, forming a circle of resistance that glowed brighter against the encroaching darkness. "Feel the unity. We are not alone," someone cried, and it rippled like a wave through their ranks. Encouraged, the sous chefs and line cooks began to call out their stories, memories of laughter in kitchens, tears of failures, and visions of sharing meals with loved ones. Each story pulsed with their spirit, creating a symphony that harmonized with their resolve. The machine roared in fury, its voice twisting and cracking. "Your bonds are meaningless. You think emotions can defeat the power of culinary perfection?" It flickered ominously, shadows pulsing like a dark heart, but they pressed on, refusing to back down. Each chef poured their essence into the growing light. The very aromas of their struggles, exotic spices from distant relatives, fragrant herbs from childhood gardens, the heat of passion, and transformed the air. It became a bridge connecting them, merging in a way the machine could never grasp. "It's time," Antonio declared, feeling a surge of adrenaline. "Now, let the world see our truth. Let it be known what cooking really is." As his voice resonated, the light expanded, engulfing them all. Suddenly, a wave of energy burst forth from their circle, crashing against the shadows like a tidal wave. Clara's eyes sparkled, blending emotions of fear and courage as the light consumed the darkness. "Together, we are stronger." The phrase echoed through the chaos, weaving magic. The ground shook one last time, and with a blinding flash, the collective essence enveloped the machine, illuminating what had once been darkness. The roar of the machine transformed into something softer, a muffled whimper, as if it was being stripped of its power. The shadows shrieked angrily, but nothing could withstand their unity. Just as the blinding light began to dim, a silhouette emerged from the fog. It was the ghostly form of the machine, but it now stood humbled, dimmed, and weakened, its once gleaming metal dulled. "You cannot be consumed," it stuttered, barely able to whisper. Antonio took a step forward. "We were never here to destroy you, only to confront you. We are not mere chefs, we are the flavors and stories that make us human." With that, the light surged again, wrapping around the machine in a warm embrace, and slowly, it crumbled away, disappearing like mist in the morning sun. Astoundingly, in its absence, a new energy pulsed through the air, a vibrant, living kitchen transformed by their victory. As the blinding brightness faded, the kitchen was left aglow with warmth and community. The chefs stood together, breathless, covered in the remnants of the culinary battlefield. Their identities were intact, and though they had faced chaos, they had emerged stronger, a circle, not just of chefs, but of friends, family, and storytellers. Clara looked at Antonio, her smile radiant. "We did it. We fought the darkness." She glanced around at their fellow chefs, who were nodding in support, the bond unbroken. Antonio grinned. "This is just the beginning. We will keep creating, keep sharing our stories, and teach the world what cooking truly means." They stood together, united in purpose, looking ahead with boldness and hope. The kitchen would thrive once more under their watch, filled with laughter, love, and of course, glorious food. And so, the legend of the dishwasher became not a tale of rivalry, but of unity. Word spread through culinary circles around the globe about the great challenge, but what stood out more was the message: cooking was not just about the skill or the shine of the utensils, it was about the heart behind every dish, every flavor steeped in history and love. Antonio and Clara shared a knowing glance. Together they would continue to make magic, but now they knew, they weren't simply chefs, they were story weavers, and they would nourish the world. As they laughed and prepared to create new dishes, the camera panned out, capturing the vibrant energy in that kitchen. It was a kitchen like no other, filled with hope and a spirit that could outshine the darkest of machines. So, what will you do next? Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Join the movement of true fans, because your support makes all the difference.